The Shadow of Empire, the Martyrdom of Guru Arjan, the fifth Sikh Guru. The morning was unusually quiet in Amritsar, as if the city itself anticipated a storm. The Harmandir Sahib glistened like a jewel in the center of the sacred pool, the air filled with the faint aroma of blooming jasmine and the rhythm of recited hymns. Guru Arjan Dev, seated with a posture of calm authority, listened intently to a young disciple. "Guruji," the boy asked, his voice tentative, "if the emperor is all-powerful, why do we not seek his favor?" Guru Arjan smiled, his eyes serene but piercing. "Power is not divine, child. Empires rise and fall, but truth endures. Remember this, the head that bows to falsehood forfeits its dignity." Unbeknownst to the devotees, spies lingered at the fringes of the crowd. Jahangir's agents had long been monitoring the Guru, documenting his every word and movement. The emperor had grown restless, his paranoia fueled by reports of the Guru's growing influence and his refusal to acknowledge Mughal supremacy. The court at Lahore was a mosaic of extravagance, marble floors inlaid with precious stones, perfumed silks draped over gilded columns, and the hum of servants carrying trays of spiced meats and wine. Emperor Jahangir reclined on his throne, a masterpiece of peacock feathers and gold. A poet recited verses in Persian, but Jahangir waved him away with irritation. "Enough," he growled. "Tell me again of this Guru Arjan." The wazir bowed low. "Your Majesty, his followers grow in number daily. He preaches equality, drawing Hindus and Muslims to his cause. Worse, he granted refuge to Khusrau." Jahangir's expression darkened. His son Khusrau, the rebellious prince, had challenged his authority only months earlier. Though Khusrau's uprising was crushed, the Guru's support for him felt like a dagger aimed at the emperor's chest. "Summon him," Jahangir ordered. "Let him explain his defiance." The ride to Lahore was arduous. As Guru Arjan approached the Mughal capital, the sprawling city's chaos enveloped him. Merchants haggled in bazaars, the clang of blacksmiths' hammers echoed through narrow alleys, and the scent of roasted lamb mingled with acrid smoke from street fires. Yet, amid the tumult, Guru Arjan exuded an unshakable calm. At the royal court, he stood before Jahangir, surrounded by glittering nobles. The emperor regarded him with a mixture of curiosity and disdain. "So," Jahangir began, his voice cold, "you are the man who calls himself a guru. They say you defy the emperor." "I call myself nothing, Your Majesty," Guru Arjan replied, his voice steady. "I am but a servant of truth." "And yet," Jahangir leaned forward, "you defy my rule. You give sanctuary to traitors. You preach equality in a land governed by divine order. Do you deny this?" "I deny nothing," the Guru answered. "I teach what is eternal. If this threatens your throne, it is not my teaching, but your fear that is to blame." Jahangir's hand clenched the arm of his throne. "Fear? You mistake my mercy for weakness. Convert to Islam, and I shall forgive your trespasses." The court fell silent. All eyes turned to the Guru, who stood motionless, unbowed. "I cannot," he said softly. "My faith is my soul. To renounce it would be to renounce life itself." Jahangir's voice thundered. "Then you renounce life! Guards, take him!" The dungeons of Lahore fort were a labyrinth of stone and shadow. The air was thick with the stench of rot and the cries of other prisoners. Guru Arjan was chained to the wall, yet his composure remained unbroken. Bhai Gurdas, his faithful scribe, managed to bribe a guard and slipped into the cell. "Master," Gurdas whispered, his eyes glistening with tears, "we must find a way to free you. The Sikhs are ready to rise." Guru Arjan shook his head. "No, Gurdas. Violence will only sow more suffering. This is my path. It is the will of the divine." The following days were a blur of agony. The Mughal soldiers began their grim work with a calculated cruelty. Guru Arjan was forced to sit on a burning metal plate as scalding sand was poured over his blistering body. The air filled with the acrid smell of burning flesh and the guttural chants of his torturers. "Renounce your faith!" one of them barked. The Guru's voice, though hoarse, remained firm. "My faith cannot be burned." A younger soldier hesitated, his hand trembling as he prepared another scoop of burning sand. "Why do you endure this?" he asked, his voice quivering. "No man should suffer so." Guru Arjan's lips cracked into a faint smile. "Because truth is eternal. You are not my enemy, son. Fear is." The words shook the young man to his core. He stepped back, his conscience ablaze. In the opulence of his private chambers, Jahangir wrestled with his decision. The death of a holy man would cast a long shadow over his reign, yet sparing him could embolden rebellion. "You hesitate, your majesty," his wazir observed. "Do not let mercy cloud your judgment." Jahangir scowled. "It is not mercy. It is legacy. Will history remember me as a ruler who killed a saint?" "History remembers strength," the wazir replied. "Kill him, and the Sikhs will scatter." But even as the emperor nodded, doubt gnawed at him. In the quiet of the night, he dreamed of a river stained with blood and a saint who would not drown. The soldiers dragged Guru Arjan to the banks of the Ravi River. The sun hung low in the sky, casting an amber glow on the water. His body was battered, his skin scorched, yet his spirit seemed untouched. "Do you have any final words?" the officer in charge asked, his tone betraying unease. Guru Arjan looked out at the river, its surface rippling with the currents. "Let this water bear witness," he said. "The truth cannot be silenced." The soldiers pushed him into the river. Weighted by chains, he sank beneath the surface. But as the waters closed over him, a strange stillness settled over the scene. The onlookers, both executioners and bystanders, felt an inexplicable sense of awe, as if they had witnessed something eternal. The news of Guru Arjan's martyrdom spread like wildfire. In Amritsar, thousands gathered at the Harmandir Sahib, their grief mingled with resolve. His son, Guru Hargobind, stood before the congregation, his expression grim but determined. "My father's sacrifice will not be in vain," he declared. "From this day, we shall bear not only the word, but the sword." Under his leadership, the Sikhs transformed into a community prepared to defend itself against oppression, marking the beginning of their militarization. Back in Lahore, Jahangir sat alone in his garden. The fountains trickled softly, but their melody did little to soothe his mind. He could still see the Guru's calm face, hear his unyielding words. "The truth cannot be silenced," Jahangir muttered to himself. And for the first time the emperor felt the weight of his empire as a burden too heavy to bear. The story of Guru Arjan Dev's martyrdom became a beacon for the oppressed, a reminder that faith and courage could stand against even the mightiest empires. And as the Ravi River flowed on, it carried with it the memory of a man who chose to endure the unendurable, transforming suffering into an eternal testament of truth.